Is it dry there?
Yeah. It's
Oh,
not humid at all. And it's weird because it's a river city, but it's not.
right.
It's dry.
Okay.
Yeah, because okay.
All right. Let's revive. Hello, 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 all of the imaginary Black people out there. No, I'm joking. No, hello everyone. Today we are going to do a quick review of Solange's new album, When I Get Home. And this is going to be a very interesting conversation because I got my life from it. But Twa might have a different view of this album. And there may be some places where we actually agree on how we reacted to her latest project. So I am Chenault, and this is Twa, and so we are with Imaginary Black. We love to have conversations with you about the Black perspective on several different issues, especially the perspective as Black women. And so we, of course, had to review Solange. And I just want to get down to it. I just want to get down to this conversation because the reviews are so mixed. The first question is, what is your first reaction, Twa, to this album, to this project right here?
So initially I felt like I'm missing something. So I was like, I really felt like I needed to be high to enjoy this. I've never been high before. So for anybody else that's, smoked pot or done something else, maybe you could relate a little bit more. But for me, I really felt like maybe I just needed to be high because I really missed something. I didn't really get into it until Alameda or Almeida. Am I right? Okay, so yeah, Almeida, and then even then it was like, oh, okay.
Okay, so my first reaction was at first I thought that she had uploaded samples of the songs because they were all under 3 minutes. And they were around 2 minutes a piece. And so I was like, oh, okay, like, did I mistake? Did I do something wrong? But when I realized that literally this is just a project of her reaction to the space, it's a project that I believe is in the middle of a journey, not necessarily the completion of a journey. But of course, Solange is just different, right? She's just different. I was like, that's cool. If that's how you want to do it with a bunch of snippets, then go right ahead. Somebody said it sounded like little kitty, little kitty songs that you do on a keyboard with the
like she was teaching herself keyboard for the first time. She's like, I like that. I like
that. I loved it. I didn't like all of the beats, but I liked several of them. And we'll get into that later. But coincidentally, I did not like the previous project.
Really? See, I'm the total opposite. Like I love that album. Like I can't even think of a song that I didn't really like on there. And I guess to me because it was like storytelling. Whereas this one I felt like I'm missing the story.
I didn't bop to it or anything. You know what I'm saying? And this one I felt like told a story. Like it was a story of her observations. That's so crazy. But anyhow.
And that's what I was expecting because like where it started out talking about like I saw things I imagined. I was like, okay, she's about to like reveal some stuff. I was trying to think too deeply, evidently, because I was like, maybe she's gonna be talking about like Hollywood and whatnot, and then it was like, I'm confused. Like, I really was like, it just left me like.
Well, you know what? I think she's also relying heavily on the visuals for this project.
And let me say that though, because when I like Alameda, like I said, that's the one song that I actually like could like vibe to. And even then, when I saw the video, I was like, now I'm really confused because I really thought it was going to go a different direction. And not saying that I didn't like the video, because I think I liked the video made me like the song better, but it did not clarify the song for me. Like I was like, I still don't understand what's going on. So, and I'm like, maybe I'm just not deep enough. Like I just
okay. So let's get down into it a little bit more. So which song bopped the most? Audio speaking, like what is it? There's visual and then there's auditorily speaking. Which one had the best sound in your opinion? Like which one could you dance to? You're so
I don't really know that there was one that I could like when you say like bop to, like I just really didn't feel like I could bop to any of them, but like I would definitely add her to like I have a mid groove playlist on my Spotify and I would add it to that. So
like you could clean to it, like you could clean your house.
Yeah, I could put Almeda on there, My Skin, My Logo. That's about it. Yeah.
Okay. My favorites, which also have lyrics that I liked, were Stay Flow. I loved Benz. As far as two that I could bop to, like I had an actual, you know.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but see, that's what I like that you were able to like. It was able to keep your attention for you because, like I said, I don't remember the logos to them. I mean, the lyrics. Like when I like listened to it, I've listened to it now 2.5 times, and I'm like, it's just not like I guess because I'm like doing other stuff. Maybe I need to listen to it like before I go to sleep. But like when I'm doing other things, I get bored and I'm like, okay, I gotta get up and do something.
So I am the of captions. Anyone who has watched a movie or a television show with me will know that I keep closed caption on, even though I am not hearing impaired. Okay. I like to follow things and read it at the same time. I don't know when this started. I think it started when I found out that closed caption existed.
Well, I've always been a visual learner, so
right. Yeah. And so I looked up the lyrics as I was listening to the album, because I didn't listen to the album until about 2 or 3 days after she debuted it on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And so I was reading the lyrics, and so to me, every single song is a poem. Mm-hmm. It's not a basic, we went here, we went there, we partied, and we had a good time, everybody have a good time. It's all abstract poems to me that she just happened to put to music.
But to like speak to some of your background though, like you are into the poetry scene and stuff. Whereas like for me, I'm like, you know, I'm into like lyric development, and then also like, you know me, I'm a dancer, so I want to
right. So you know a story based on
the choreograph to it, and it's like for hers, it's more so of getting into the mood of it. And not just instantly being thrown there. So I couldn't like use any of her pieces, I don't feel like, to create.
You can use interludes as like intermission.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like I would use pieces of it as transitional pieces, but they wouldn't be like the main focus. And that's not to crap on her art, because I know like artists, you know, we're sensitive about our stuff, as Erica said. But like I don't it just didn't vibe with me like that, like the first album, so, or like the previous album, because it's not her first album. So,
now, which song did you like the least?
Oh no, just the one I didn't even. I only wrote down the two that I liked. I didn't even go.
Well, as far as listening to it, My Skin, My Logo, I couldn't really get with it. Mm-hmm. I understood the message, but it just didn't really, I was like, oh, okay, I'm ready for this. I actually skipped over the last half of it because I was like, I don't really want to listen to it anymore. Mm-hmm. You know, it just wasn't what I wanted. Mm-hmm. But I understand the concept.
Yeah,
I just didn't want to go through
you see, because of the conceptualization of it, that's what made me appreciate that song, because I was like, it was a concept and I understood it. I guess it was a readily available concept, whereas the other ones I was like, I don't understand what's going on here.
So, despite the bop, okay, whether or not you like the way a song sounds or not, let's get down into the lyrics. So, as far as the most popular lyrics thus far, we'll go to Alameda, because that's one that you like. And so I highlighted two sets of lyrics here. Black faith still can't be washed away, not even in that Florida water. So pour more drink, sip, 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 and so forth. So Florida water, it's been noted that that is what she carried to the Met Gala as part of her outfit. Because, you know, when people wear outfits to the Met Gala, you're supposed to be like all outlandish and be making a statement. And so Florida water is like this healing water of herbs and all this stuff that's put together. And it's supposed to have metaphysical power, mystical power, all that. And, you know, a lot of folks are saying that these lyrics mean that the faith that we have to persevere, all of the hurt that we've been through, it still can't be washed away with Florida water. So all the juju, right? All the voodoo, all the prayers,
endurance and encouragement,
and all that stuff can't wash it away. But rather, it's a cultural method that we use in order to cope. But to me, it means something different, because right after that, she says, so pour more drink, sip, sip, sip. And to me, that goes back to the fact that we as African Americans, we are subject to addiction, right? We are subject to addiction as a method of coping because of what we have gone through and in trying to cope through faith, religion, and then also abuse of substances, whatever that may be. So when we say pour more drink, she also says pour out for the ancestors, right? Libations. But she says pour more drink, sip, sip, sip. And it's like, that's what we do. Every song, hip hop song is like, I need to drink this. I need to sip this. I'm sipping tea. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And so alcohol is a way for us as African Americans to cope. Not healthy, but it is.
Yeah,
and considering that in Kentucky, the major distributor of alcohol is located right in the Black community in Louisville, Kentucky, it's like, it's this staple, this bottle is this huge bottle sitting on top of this area of the city is like a staple. And there's liquor stores on every corner, you know, right next to the Chinese food store, right next to the chicken spot, right next to the hair store, right? And so it's like, she's bringing to light the fact that this is what we have done in order to cope with the trauma that we have experienced.
Yeah, that's interesting because I took a totally different perspective of that. So being a former resident of Florida, one thing that I've noticed culturally, there was a cultural shock to me when I moved from Florida to Kentucky, was that people's teeth were not as well, you know, together. And this has nothing to do with what I'm about to go into, but let me get there. So that their teeth were not as well taken care of as they were when I lived in Florida. And one thing that my mom hit me to was saying that there's more fluoride and other chemicals in the water there because of the fact that there's so many people, so many, you know, migrants, so many residents and whatnot, and people like constantly moving and flowing through there that they have to do extra things to keep the water clean. And then on top of that, people don't drink that water. They go and buy water, but they use that water like to bathe in. So I was thinking like that's extra chemicals on you. Now, where I'm going with this is because with that water having extra chemicals in it, I was associating those lyrics when she says, because before that she's like referencing like Black culture and whatnot throughout the whole thing. And so when she says Black face still can't be washed away, not even in that Florida water, and she keeps talking about that Florida water, I was thinking like, to me, I related that to Trayvon. So I don't know if that's what because I was going to ask him like, where did you get that? Because that's not even at all what I thought. I thought that it was more so not actually referencing religion, but it was referencing like our faith as a people, like our joy as a people, our encouragement, because Black people oftentimes represent the people who bring the life of the party, who bring, you know, the joy to the atmosphere. So like for me, when I was listening to it, I was like, when she said not even in that Florida water, I was like, oh shit, like that was like, to me, I was cold, because I was like, okay, so wine, you know, finally something I can relate to, you know. But I mean, I think both of them are really intriguing meanings. I didn't even think about it the way that you did. And with me, when she said, so pour more drink, sip, 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 I didn't take it as especially after seeing the video, I didn't take it as a negative thing of like using like those I guess that liquid therapy. I didn't take it as that being a negative thing. I took it as like, well, we're still going to celebrate us even when y'all are persecuting us, you know? So yeah, that's my take on it. I don't know if you understood or flowed with me, but yeah, that's why.
Yeah, that was good. So another piece in that song I wanted to pull out was at minute 137, lyrics, just sitting here fooling around. We just sitting here cooling around. We just sitting here high coming down. And so when I heard that, it reminded me of a play by one of my favorite playwrights, Dominique Morisseau, called Pipeline. And in that play, she used the poem by Gwendolyn Brooks called We Real Cool. And so that poem goes back to, it really highlighted like the dangers of dropping out of school, chilling on the corner, smoking, drinking, and dying young. Okay. Smoking, drinking, and dying young. And so the whole definition of cooling over the ages, right? It means to actually congregate in a less than reputable place with the presence of alcohol. And so one thing that is always in the back of my mind is the fact that in the city where I am, it's reported that it's about 40%, 40 to 50%, it's like half of Black men between the ages of 18 and 30 are unemployed. So during the day, everybody's cooling around, right? They're sitting on the corner, cooling around. We, you know, basically doing Gwendolyn Brooks' poem to a T. And we'll put a link to her poem in the description box below. And it just reminded me of all that. And the whole fact that the song Alameda is about being Black, like you said, in a positive spin, it's embracing the fact that we're just sitting here fooling around. We're just sitting here cooling around. We're just sitting here high, but coming down, right? Because also marijuana is a cope. And it's used as medicinal, right? To cope with pain. Okay. And it's used to cope with mental trauma. It's just ingrained in the culture. And so it's like, you know, when your high is coming down, you then have to face being sober.
Right.
That's just what happens. Like that effect is not there anymore. And so she's also saying, you know, after we do all this, right? After we do all this, after we're sitting on the corner, after we're getting high, drinking gin, whatever it may be, that Florida water ain't gonna heal it. We have to address it and deal with the trauma that we have experienced at some point, because the high is going to come down.
Well, I'm glad that you pulled that one up, because that was gonna be my reference as to why I think I was still thinking in the general area of like what's going on today. Because like with let me go back and read them again. So the just sitting here fooling around, just sitting here cooling around. Just that segment to me spoke a lot about like what's going on with the world. Like we're just here being Black. Like we're just having a good time being Black. We're over here just hanging out being Black. We're over here doing our job being Black. You know, we're just living being Black. And then we just sitting here high and like we're having a good time, but then coming down because of the realities that, you know, the others are trying to pull up in a sense. So
of the colonizer.
Yeah, exactly. So the colonizers calling on us and lying about stuff, you know, the Emmett Till situations, waiting until you on your deathbed so that you didn't, you know, weren't actually whistled at by this young man. Just everything, like just living Black and you being the police being called on you for being Black. And so like for me, that's why I related it to that. So I don't know, like, you know, that might have just been a work of art in her being able to pull out that duality of existence and understanding with those lyrics, because they are very, it's like they're vague, but they're not. They're very specific, you know? So like, I think that's really interesting that we had two completely different interpretations. So I love it.
Were there any other lyrics in that song that stood out to you?
Let me pull it up again. I mean, I loved, of course, all the portions where she's like the brown skin, black skin, the black molasses. Like, I just love everything that she's like.
Black owned things. Black owned.
Exactly. Exactly. And I love that she's like, you know, she said brown skin and black skin. So it's like inclusive, because a lot of times, like, because at first, when I first was listening to it and she was like brown skin, brown face, and I was like, here we go, being exclusive again. I'm like, I don't know why we can't just say black. But then I was like, when she started saying black skin, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I can vibe with this, because, you know, we're diverse people. We come in all shades. So we created the whitest of white and the darkest of dark. So I think it's a shame we're not inclusive. But I was like, I feel like she was very intentionally inclusive, and I loved it, you know. So let me see. Yeah, no. I mean, I love it because she literally is talking about like almost every aspect of like Black culture. You know, she even says Black place. You know, so I just really appreciate that. It was a very pro-Black song, and it wasn't like the traditional. It wasn't like traditional in the sense of like, to me, based off of like a hymn or something like that, you know. And it wasn't a forceful Black song that was like, you know, that was always in reference to whiteness. You know, it was just celebrating Black people of all shades, and I love that. So
okay, so another one that I liked was Stay Flow. And so the part of the song that stood out to me was, I'm going to say Negroes. All right. So Negroes want to come into play. Negroes get all in their feelings. Negroes get down every day. Negroes play games when you flex. Negroes throw stones. They going to feel it on their face. Take it all home. Make them feel it on their face. And so, through the whole song, she's talking about what Negroes do, right? Just Negroes. And you know, I think this part is talking about that we as Black people, we always want to play the game, right? We want to play the game and we want to win. But the theme of the song to me is about mental health. And how you can get all in your feelings, get down, and what we do to each other as far as throwing stones. And what does it say? Whatever you throw at me will come back to you. I'm rubber, you're green. And so when people are throwing bad things on you, they're going to feel it on themselves, and then they take it all home, and then it's depressing. They feel it on their face, right? It's a heavy weight that they carry. And so I really felt like Stay Flow was like, look, this bad stuff is going to happen, but you have to keep your mental health straight. Bottom line, you have to keep within the flow. You have to be discerning about what's going on around you. These are little lessons that I'm sharing with you. This is what Negroes are going to do, right? This is what people are going to do, but you got to make sure you stay in the flow, keep it going, and keep it straight.
Okay. I like I said, that was one of those songs that didn't stay memorable to me, but I mean, I like the way that you just broke that down. It was nice.
Oh my God, you are hilarious. We'll play a clip right before this.
Because I was reading along with you, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. But I mean, to me, once again, it's just the fact of like I'm listening with it with a different mindset, and I think part of it is because I was thinking about her last album and thinking like, I think I went into this thinking this was going to be a continuation because that one was so pro-Black, and it was very much so. It was like, I hate to use the word aggressive, but I can't really think of another word right now. But it was that one was more aggressive, like the "Don't touch my hair" or the, you know, talking about the cranes in the sky. Like it was like it was more forward, I guess. And so I went into this thinking about just how she is kind of like as a person too. Like, you know, forgive me for all the Solange fans that may be watching this, because I haven't been that type of fan since I was little. But from what I've gotten from her is that she's very much so unapologetically Black, and she's very much so pro her people. Like she loves her people, and she's always about, you know, them getting what they're due, you know. And so yeah, I just didn't think of, I didn't take it as deep as like mental anguish and whatnot, because to me it seemed like it was more like a chill album, like we're hanging out. Because to me the first one was more like, look, I'm going to put all this stuff out here in the forefront because this is stuff that needs to be addressed. Like this is like ridiculous, you know. We're more than what you see us as, and this is, you know, part of the story that I'm going to give to you. So to me, I felt like this album, like I said, that I needed to be high, and that I needed to just be like totally just kind of buzzed out to just enjoy it. So yeah.
So my anthem from this album is Benz. So she is going through what I want my whole life to be eventually. I just want to wake up to the Suns and Saint Laurent, $100,000 on the fronts. Like,
like out in the want to do that.
Out in the Rolls that's rented, windows tinted. We got a big spending, okay? And so sundown wind chimes, break it down, one line, a line. Can't no see me, no flex, be kind. Dollars never show up on CP time. So that is my favorite line of the whole song. Dollars never show up on CP time. If I have ever heard the best business advice, dollars never show up on CP. So this really was like, okay, she's talking to Black business owners. Like she's talking to entrepreneurs in this song. And she's like, look, we all have these dreams, right? I just want to wake up to the Suns and Saint Laurent, right? Like I just want to be big spending. I want this, I want that. But dollars never show up on CP time. Please answer the phone when people call you. Please be open on the hours that it says on your website, or just update your website.
Exactly. Please, no. How about this? How about please stop asking me for free things when you know that my business is my source of income for all these Black business supporters.
Thank you. Now, her next line is in there is, I just want to wake up on CP time. That's true for me as well. But dollars have to show up on CP time. So you got to get up, right? The early bird catches the worm. It's 20 hours of grind and 4 hours of everything else, right? As far as being able to achieve those dreams. And so I know you might be thinking I'm getting all deep.
No, you go ahead.
It's just sort of like what I'm going through right now in making the transition to being self-employed. I'm only in my second year, 2 years in July. And it's sort of like, you got to work twice as hard for the same amount of money.
Yeah.
And I can't be waking up on CP time. I can't do it. I can't.
You don't get on 15-minute breaks and an hour lunch when you're an entrepreneur.
No, you do not. The phone is ringing. There's paperwork to be done. You are now every division that was once at your job. You are now HR. You are now IT. You are now front desk customer service, CSR. You are now business division that has to cut the checks. You're
the secretary keeping the schedule, that's updating, that's responding to all the emails, that's doing everything, taking the phone calls. You're the accountant managing the books.
It's insane. Yeah. And it's whole new level of skills that I think we as Black people need to be prepared for when moving into entrepreneurship. And yes, I use the word when. Watchers and listeners, I use the word when.
Yep.
We all have a talent and we all have a skill that somebody's going to pay for because they don't want to do it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that.
Yep.
Either they can't or they don't feel like it. I mean, why do you think DoorDash and Uber Eats and all these delivery places are making money? Because I want to get the good stuff from that restaurant, but I don't feel like leaving the house, so I'm going to pay you to do it. Like, that's the whole thing. We are in an economy of where if people don't want to do it, then they will pay somebody else to do it. So it's a matter of figuring out what your talent is. And once you know what that talent is and you hone it to be an expert at it, do not work on CP time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with that. And I think that, you know, when people are sitting around in their ciphers, you know, or they're sitting down, they're cooling around and fooling around, and you come up with these things like, man, I wish such and such, you know, would do this, or I wish I could blah, blah, blah. Ooh, guess what? You better put that into fruition. Start asking your buddies for, you know, borrow money here and there. Can I get $5? Can I get $10? So you're able to get that business registration purchase and that tax ID number, and then go out and get your idea made into fruition. Like, get it made so that you can then sell your product. And because you're not the only one that's come up with, dang, I wish somebody would do this for me, or I wish I could call this in or get this delivered or whatever, or whatnot, like you said, or have this convenience. So yeah, you definitely need to sell your skills.
Right. And so the line right before that is, can't no see me, no flex, be kind. So it's a matter of, you know, not everybody is on social media telling you all their moves, right? Mm-hmm. I am not taking pictures of the cars I'm buying. I am not taking a picture of the check, the cash that comes from the check that I have. I'm not doing that because one, it's not necessary. Nobody needs to know what you got. Okay, because people will come and take it. However, let's stop judging everybody on whether or not they're flexing. Okay.
Yeah. And stop comparing yourself as to whether or not you're not doing well enough. Like, you, just because you're not wearing the latest wig, or and I'm speaking to women, you know, or driving, you know, the newest whip, or I don't know, have an all white kitchen, like, you know, just like silly stuff that I've been seeing like in the comment section and stuff, and I'm like, no, it's not, like, that's not what life is. Like, you have to make it be meaningful to yourself. So
right.
You know, that's a little bit of a tangent, but yeah, I definitely feel you on that.
Right. So those are the 3 songs that really stood out to me. We talked about this a little bit. Did you relate to any songs? So her last song on the album was really her homage to the ancestors. And you know, the lyrics are, you can work through me. You can say what you need in my mind. I'll be your vessel. I'll do it every time. And I won't stop till I get it right. Good night. And that reminded me of our trip when we went to the Door of No Return in Ghana. Mm-hmm. What's the name of the Elmina Castle.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there's a saying that the blood always returns. Sankofa, you know, we've heard that. It returns. It's returned back. It's the coming back. And I think that I'm a Witness is an homage to that theme, as far as, you know, everything that our ancestors prayed for, we are able to manifest, and we are able to fulfill and walk in those prayers and walk in those dreams. And I think that's, you know, what Solange is wanting to do through her art, period. Even if it didn't feel like it was accomplished through this project, I still think that is her goal. And so that is what I received from this entire project, was her just exploring being Black, right? She started off with Things I Imagined, which automatically got me excited because we just started Imaginary Black this year.
Exactly. I know. I was like, oh my God.
but that's part of what we're doing. We're just exploring what it is to be Black, and we're just talking about it, and it's so multifaceted and it's so rich, right? Even her project can't cover everything, and it isn't a stark I'm Black and I'm proud, but it's rather just, let me just talk about what's going on. Let me just talk about what's going on, the future that I see. There's some Afrofuturism to it. There's just some really good stuff in there. And I know Solange's outlandish. Look, I follow her on Instagram because she keeps me entertained. Right. And she keeps me thinking. And so I knew that this project was not going to be like the last one, because over the last 2 years, you have to grow, right? You grow and you become a different person. Yeah. And both of us have grown and become different people over the last 2 years, just from the experiences and how we have stepped out on faith in many ways in order to create the lives that we want.
Exactly.
And I think that this is her reflecting on being in the middle of that journey. What she's going to sound like 2-3 years from now could be completely different, right? Yeah. But I know it's always going to be her. That's what I do know.
Yeah. And like I said, I appreciate her artistry. I do think it was funny when you had mentioned in an earlier conversation about the person that was saying, oh yeah, no, you did say it in this too, about the person who just learned to play the keyboard. That was funny. But no, like I said, I appreciate her artistry and her celebration of Blackness. So that one, like I said, that resonated with me through it. It was because it was so humdrum, and I'm a Libra, so I'm very like flighty when it comes to like my mood and like what I want it to be tuned into. And so for me, it was just kind of humdrum. And so that's why I feel like it was not reaching me where it needs to be. Not to say that one day it won't, because like I said, I really do like my Skin My logo and Almeida, but I just think, sorry, my shoes like acting crazy, but I was like, get on my foot. But anyway, so yeah, I think it is definitely something that, like you said, it's mixed reviews. It's going to resonate with some people. It's not going to resonate with others. What I can say, though, that did resonate with me and very well is that this was for us. This was literally like FUBU when it came out when I was little and excited. It was for us and by us. Like, so, and I so loved the whole idea of her going through Black Planet. I went on, I signed my little page up. I do miss that we can't put a picture up there, because I remember when I was in high school, I had Nelly all over my wallpaper.
Okay.
I wasn't going to put Nelly back up there, but I do remember that. And I was like, oh, this is not so customizable anymore. But it excited me that she was using that communication route, that social media route. So, and I think that it brought a lot of people on there, Black and white, because I was seeing a lot of white people like commenting on like my statuses and stuff that I put on there.
Already? Girl, you just got on there.
No, when she dropped the album, I did it. When you sent me the album through text message, and when I listened to it, I literally like went on that night and signed up for Black Planet, because I was like, oh, cool. So, and then I finally stumbled on the video of where she had the it's not sound bites. It's literally a whole album review, but it's like different places. Like most of them are in Texas. Yes. But it's watching people like listening to it. So
yes, he does have a 30-minute video to go with the whole album, but it's only on Apple Music, and so I don't have access to it yet. If you have had access to it yet, please write your reviews in the comments, because eventually I guess I'm going to see it when it's on YouTube, because I'm team Android, whatever.
Right, yeah. I won't be investing in Apple, so they do too much to their customers. But yeah, so I like I said, I love the fact that it was for us and by us. I was so happy that it wasn't one of these things where it was like, oh, we're trying to relate to like other people, because I just think about like different like ethnicities of music, how like we're always excluded, you know, or if they want to include us, we're like the rapper on the remix or whatnot, you know, and it's like, okay, but there's so many other facets of it, you know, for us, and not to downplay rap at all, but it's just the fact that it's like, okay, like, can we be inclusive of us like in the video, like, you know, can our girls be the it girls sometimes, or the guys be the it guys? Like, can we get some like mixture up in here? Because it's very much so centered around either what cultures want to project, which is always the whiteness for whatever reason, or around that just exclusivity. So, you know, because I'm just thinking about like being in an Indian restaurant the other day. Like I was like, I'm looking at all these brown people serving us, but on these music videos, they all looking like this.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's the same. Like, the colorism is real.
Yeah, it's like, you know, and that's worldwide, you know. But yeah, so I definitely appreciated that about her. And like I said, that's what I loved about the first album too, is that it was an expression of forward Blackness, you know. And I always think that it's a shame when we always think like forward thinking Black means like always like the futuristic science Black, but it's like, no, it's also the Blackness that exists now. It's the Blackness that existed back then. Because if you think about it, like Black culture is always on this circle, so it's always going around and around, you know. And what's crazy about it is because of the fact that it is so cyclical. Like it's got us convinced that when we have the Solange albums that drop like this, that some Black people would say like, why is she doing this white music? And it's like, no, that came from us. Like, you know, they've been imitating us so much that we think that the stuff came from them, you know? So like I said, go ahead, Solange, be pro-Black, do your thing, you know? And I remember, because I read part of an article or something, because it was talking about her dropping it without telling anybody. And it was like, she did it so that she wouldn't have to deal with the anxiety of waiting for it to come out, waiting for people's critiques and stuff before she could even like, you know, put out more of the album. And so I was like, well, I definitely understand that, you know, because you know me, I having closed practices and stuff, and I'm like, nope, can't be videotaping none of that stuff, because I'm like, I want everybody to see it all together, because like you said, she has a story to tell. So, you know, I appreciate getting the whole cohesive story instead of just parts of it and then trying to understand, because it's not in line with the storyline, trying to understand how they fit together. So, yeah.
Well, thank you, Twa, for doing this review with me. I sent her the album, and she was like, "What is this?" So I appreciate it, because people really need to know that, you know, there's many different facets of being Black. There's many different reactions according to our experience, and so I appreciate the back and forth and the reviews that you gave, you know, your opinion and your interpretation of her work, and the fact that this work is able to facilitate, you know, this conversation about the larger issues and what's really going on in society. Also, we both wore yellow. It's not planned. But it is a happy color for 2019. So anywho, I know at the end we usually do affirmations, and Twa always does those. But I wanted to take some lyrics from Solange's album as the affirmation today. And okay, it does come from...
Hold on, really quick before you wrap it up, because I did forgot to mention the other song that I did, like the My Skin, My Logo.
Yes.
So just really quick, wrapping that up. So one of the reasons that I really liked that song is because I felt like it was very relevant to social media and what is going on right now with regards to social media and us like selling ourselves, you know. So like even with like doing YouTube, like we started this channel not you know needing to do it like to monetize it or anything like that, but it was just more so of like, we want something that's going to relate to other Black women so that we know that we're not alone in like our ways of thinking, interpreting, you know, our ways of just living, you know, and getting by, or our ways of being successful, you know, our ways of struggle and whatnot. So with all those things in mind, I think about like, literally like my skin is my logo. And she, you know, talks about, like it says Gucci a lot, Gucci, Gucci, Gucci. And I thought that was so like key for her to say, like, no, literally like beating it in your head, because I remember when Gucci Mane came out And then when they have these Gucci songs, and I'm like, why are we pumping this Gucci stuff and we're not getting paid Gucci dollars?
It's called scandal Gucci being racist, like right now. As out.
Right, like you're pumping Gucci and Versace and all these brands, but I'm like, these people are not putting money in your pockets. And I'm like, and on top of that, what they're selling to your people is practically knockoffs. So I'm like, you don't see any white people walk around with Gucci huge all up on their chest and stuff like that. And I'm like, look stupid. Like, I mean, sorry, that's my opinion. It's tacky, but you know, I'm just saying, like, you know, I thought it was very intriguing that like she kept beating it in your head, the Gucci, like, because of the fact that we literally like. Remember we were talking about in the government shutdown video, and we're like, oh, well, you know, we have so many ways that we can like save money and put the money back into the community, you know, and creating these different pockets of money to be able to help people either one, get out of debt, pay for things that, you know, normally would put in debt them so much that they wouldn't be able to get out of it, or just, you know, coming together to be able to, you know, do things like build somebody a home whose family has never had one or whatnot. So or get them a car. So, but I was thinking about that and how we were like, you know, but we're like the biggest consumers or the largest consuming demographic when it comes to like hair, when it comes to fashion, when it comes to, you know, all these things to like, to dress ourselves. And I was like, you know, I think that it was interesting because of the fact that not only are we the biggest consumers, but we're the biggest sellers of it. Because if you think about like Jordans, they've never gone out of style. Jordans, if he's not still making money on it, I don't know why he would have written a contract like that. But I'm like, we're the biggest consumers of Jordans.
Yep.
But Jordans are the biggest selling item. You know, LeBron's got his own shoes, you know, and outside of shoes, you know, you have all these housewives shows and stuff where they go on and they selling their products. They're like Portia has her wigs on Atlanta Housewives. What is her name? The model, Cynthia, sells her glasses. You know, the one from Escape, she's selling her music and all that stuff. So I'm like, it's interesting to see how like those products become our skin as well, you know? So I just thought it was really interesting. And then the part where she's talking about Solo liked to drink, Solo liked to ball, Solo brought the gang, they don't hold a wall, Solo liked to shop, Solo bought the mall, Solo bought the guap, Solo throwed it all. And it's like, it's just talking about that flashiness, that flash. And like I said, I don't necessarily take it as a negative thing unless you're becoming, of course, indebted to it. And that's a whole nother like mental health issue that we could talk about later. But when we talk about like just the celebration of Blackness and how it's like, yeah, you know, you see this person over here and going back to that, like you said, the whole, what'd you say it was? Not flashing, but the
fooling and cooling, or
no, when we were talking about comparing ourselves to other people on like social media and stuff. What was the word did you use? I cannot remember.
I used a word. I thought it was your word.
No, it was it's a common word. I cannot think of what it was. Oh, stunting? I don't know. Anyway,
flexing. She used the word flexing.
Yes. Flexing. So when we see people like flexing and things, and you know, we're quick to like either hate on them or pull it down. But it's like, you know, she's saying like this person is solo and they're doing it all. They're throwing all their money into this thing. And see, that to me is when it becomes like a negative thing, because it's like now you just throwing your money to the wind when you could be doing these other things to help build up people, you know? So it was like
big observation, because Solo's her nickname. So, you know, but you took it as not being being collective, being in community. Yeah. That's good.
Mm-hmm. But then, like, if we take it as what she said, where she's, because I guess when I'm looking at it, because it's Gucci Mane that's talking about
right.
Solo like the drink, Solo like the ball. I guess I didn't take her as like the athletic type. Like maybe like a hiker, but I wouldn't take her as a baller. But I mean, maybe I should.
No, like ball is in like you have a lot of money.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, so balling. Okay.
Edit.
What'd you say?
I said edit.
Right. Oh, I'm taking all of that out. But yeah, no, so I didn't know that Solo was her name, but I just think about it like this person is, because when she says Solo throwed it all, and then it's like it's like, yeah, you doing all this, you throwing your money at this, you throwing your money at that, you doing this, you doing that, but it's like, but at the end of the day, like what is the significance of your skin, your logo, you know? And it's like, this is my skin, my logo. I'm gonna keep getting paid to sell myself, you know? And like I said, not to say that that's a completely negative thing. It's just the fact of like having some wisdom behind it. And then two, I'm always about that reciprocity. Like, what are you giving back? That whole, like I said, that cyclical life of Blackness. Like, what are you giving back?
Absolutely. And so the affirmation that I had was just simply the last few words on her album, which is taking on the light, taking on the light. And so I affirm you to take on the light, whether that light is from a higher power, whether you receive that light from the prayers of your ancestors, but take on the light and use that to push you toward your goals, to support you as you heal, to support you as you make it through this life as an imaginary Black person. No, as a Black person, but take on the light, take on the light. So thank you all so much. Thank you, Twa.
Yes, thank you, Chanel.
See y'all next time.
All right, bye guys.